Chapter 4. St. Swithin's. In September 1962, the reconditioned engine of the Ford Anglia purred out of action in front of College Hall, St. Swithin's Hospital Medical School. I ordered Chapman, my father, to carry my trunk up to my room and went to a nearby inn while he and his wife unpacked my belongings and tidied up the room for my arrival. I left the pub at 3:30, walked back through the courtyard past a lot of rather spotty ex-grammar school boys, absolute oiks, the lot of them, strolled up to my room and dismissed my parents. I cast my eyes round the room. The bed looked too narrow. I tested it for creakiness and made a mental note to tell the porter to bring me a larger and less creaky place to sleep. On the desk, a Bakelite version of bird's eye maple, I noticed something wrapped in greaseproof paper, which is a piece of paper soaked in lard. I unwrapped the package. It was a cake from my mother. How sweet, I thought, as I threw it into the wastepaper basket. I opened up a small suitcase containing my books. Climbing in Snowdonia, Nanga Parbat, The Ascent of K2, Cambridge University in the Andes, The Art of Course Rugby, and I'll Teach You Drinking. I flicked through a few pages of this volume and came to St. Swithin's Hospital. It had 3 stars by it. To supplement my meagre student grant, I decided to do some cabaret. Full of confidence, being ex-footlights, Tony Hendra and myself went along to the Blue Angel nightclub for an audition. We chose the Blue Angel because it was one of the best nightclub spots for review, and we'd read in the stage, in an advertisement that sounded like whistling in the dark, how David Frost had recently been retained there for a second glorious month. However, we were accepted at the audition, and in 2 weeks' time we found ourselves top of the bill, which meant we didn't start our act until any time from 2 to 2:30 a.m., meaning that I didn't get back to college until 3:30, having to get up again at 8:30 in time for a ward round at 9. I found this routine too gruelling after 5 more weeks, and we left the Blue Angel to be followed by a promising newcomer called Dave Allen. I wasn't just at St. Swithin's Hospital to perform late-night cabarets and West End reviews. I also helped to start annual concerts for the Hippocrates Society and organise the Christmas ward shows. The last was a splendid excuse for avoiding a family Christmas. I could join in with the rest of the lads wandering around the wards, entertaining the moribund with liberal supplies of barrels of beer made portable by the use of hospital trolleys. Some of the nursing staff, the huge matron in particular, raised objections to these festive revels in that they were disruptive of hospital routine and, in certain cases where beds were trampled on by spectators, deleterious to the well-being of the patients. But if I were ill enough to need to be in hospital over Christmas, I can think of no better atmosphere in which to peg out. Nurses wearing silly hats, urine bottles decorated with holly, mistletoe on the drip stands, general bacchanalia. Apart from the entertainment, there was yet another side to medicine. I was used to dead bodies, but now I had to deal with live human beings. This was another hurdle to overcome. And I remember on my first day as a dresser, we were taught by the houseman how to take blood from patients. He suggested that we should all take blood from each other and lined us up in pairs so that you would take 5 ml from your partner, who would then take 5 ml of blood from you. Fortunately, he left and we were left on our own. I refused to have my blood taken by the idiot who was my partner, and I'm sure he felt the same about me. I arrived alone at the ward the next morning at 8:30 to find that I had to take what amounted to about a pint of blood from 9 different patients. And, as everyone knows, in a hospital, if you complain, you get worse treatment, less attention, and an ice-cold enema. The next couple of weeks I spent pretending to look like a doctor while looking at people's faeces and staring into their sputum jars. There was one particular patient whom the nurses had finally refused to bath. His abdominal surgery had been mismanaged at another hospital, and he'd been brought into the teaching hospital to be sorted out. His abdomen had been covered with aluminium paste in an attempt to prevent the excoriation of the skin caused by his 5 substitute arseholes. It was as though his bowels had been doctored by a telephone engineer. Any competent plumber would have done a better job. No one really knew which hole led anywhere. Marcus Pine and myself, as dressers, were ordered by the sister to bath him. We put him into a bath, which we filled with disinfectant, and were both vaguely nauseated by the unformed turds which slipped out of his orifices. He was pleased by the comfort of the bath and the fact that we hadn't thrown up in his presence. We dried him and carried him back to bed, and he died the next morning.